so I'm just going to start here a little bit. I've just got about 5 minutes of my own stuff, and then we'll get on with our guests. So welcome, everybody. My name is John Dixon, the president of Tesla Owners Club. Hopefully most of you know me by now. Wanted to welcome you all to our Zoom meeting, and we've got a special meeting tonight with the gentleman from Throttle House. I want to remind you, many of you submitted questions, and that's where we're going to use sort of from a Q&A point of view to go through a bit of a panel with the guys. But if anything else comes up from discussion tonight, or if you have any questions for us as a club, we ask you to use the Pigeonhole program, maybe on your phone or another device that you've got. Many of you already done this before, but if you go to pigeonhole.at and you use Tesla to get in, and then there's a place where you can send the questions through, and they're easier to manage than using the raise your hand or the chat box here in Zoom. And what's also nice is you can look and see other people's questions, and you can upvote them if you want to make sure they're focused at the top. So please use that, and we'll try to keep our eye on that if anything interesting comes up from the discussions from Thomas and James. So without further ado, let's just jump into my portion here. So I normally walk through some stats of how we're doing as a club. And typical, still growing a little bit. We've added 12 members since our last meeting in May, which is great. 822 dues paying members, 10 more people into the official Facebook group. Twitter's grown by, whatever, how's my math there? 140 or something like that. And Instagram as well has gone up about 50 followers. So we are getting a pretty good presence on social media. And I just thought I'd mention, not related to this, but we also track when people sign up for the club, how they heard about the club, whether it's social media or from Tesla. And for the first time, I saw somebody the other day who wrote in, saw your trash bin at the Lawrence Service Center. So that shows that the trash bin initiative that we put in place is working. And we're gonna be putting 8 or 10 more in at sponsors, and we're gonna ship one up to the location in Ottawa as well. So that's kind of interesting. I want to thank all our sponsors for helping us to support the club. And the two newest ones are at the top. Literally today, Shift Electric Vehicles, which used to be Shift Motors in Burlington, who are now focusing on electric, has just come back on. They were with us a couple of years ago, and I saw their new facility, and we'll probably talk about that down the road. Phenomenal. They're available to service vehicles. They obviously sell electric vehicles, buy accessories and parts. So that's a new sponsor that just came on. And also Evolution, the next one down. You may have seen them already in our newsletter, et cetera, but they're another shop with Bruno Santos. It used to be Evolution Racing, but they're branding sort of as EV Evolution. And they'll be able to service your cars, especially out of warranty or for regular maintenance. And I think that's going to be more and more important as people have their vehicles for a longer period of time and are out of warranty. But continue to thank all our great sponsors we have all the way down here. One more page. And I want to thank you very much. And it'll also really help us as we can hopefully move into some normalcy and maybe get the drive-in event going again in the fall, and a barbecue, and maybe a winery event or some drives and things like that into the spring. And maybe, someday if Thomas or James are driving a Tesla, when we have an event, we can invite them out. They actually came out to our Earth Day event. You guys remember that? It was a real cold, breezy day up at Dave & Buster's, and you came out to an Earth Day event a couple of years, and that was kind of a sketchy night, but anyhow. So here's just a little bit of news I want to share. For those that are interested and couldn't make the meeting, our Earth Day Zoom meeting video is now available. It's in the member zone on our website. That's from April. That's where we had the talk on the climate change discussion. So I want to make sure everybody knew that. Also, I had this confirmed. There's probably been lots of information you've seen flying around on the internet about the Model 3 and Model Y price increases. I think there's been 4 or 5 price increases, certainly in the US. And I confirmed that we have not had these price increases in Canada, and they hope that they'll be able to stay the course for some time. So that maybe helps a little bit with the exchange rate and some of the concerns we've had with our price being out of whack compared to, the US. I see Tesla owners online has raised their hand. Trevor, please go on to Pigeonhole if you don't mind. And put anything you can in there. We appreciate that. A little bit easier to manage. I also want to mention that the Owners Club is available, and most of you are aware of this. If you ever have any service issues or concerns or issues with your new car at delivery, and I mention this because I've been involved a couple of times recently to help people with some particular issues that came up. And so we're there to help you mediate or accelerate things up the chain if you're having a bit of difficulty dealing with the local Tesla people and trying to get some concerns handled. So please be aware that you can reach out to us, and that's another benefit that we offer as a club, that we can help you out with any concerns or problems in the service or sales areas. Another interesting thing, you're going to get an email about this tomorrow, but our friends at the EV Society are going to be hosting Sandy Monroe from Monroe and Associates on July 6th. I think it's at 7:30 p.m. So look for that email tomorrow, and they've been good enough to share that information with us, and you can click on the link and RSVP for that. I think it'll probably be a pretty big meeting, so hopefully get your RSVP in as soon as you can. If you're not familiar with Sandy Monroe, I think we put a link in the email tomorrow that will take you there, but he started off by doing teardowns of vehicles, and so he takes them all apart. And originally was for competitor manufacturers to see what other competitors are doing. He tore down the Model 3 and initially had some concerns, and then had a later model, and really has become a Tesla fan over time. And he started to look at a lot of other EVs, and he's also got a Monroe EV channel on Instagram, and I believe he's got working on actually producing an EV 4x4 small vehicle. And you can find that on Instagram if you look for, I think it's Monroe_EV on Instagram. So have a look for that, but I just want to remind you about that. Also, this came up, I think the last meetings, there were some discussions back and forth about full self-driving. And some people are still concerned and feel that if they sell their car to a dealer, wholesale it, or if they sell it privately to somebody else, if the full self-driving stays with the vehicle. And I had it confirmed 100% it does, as long as it was bought, which most cases it has been, either with the car or added as an added cost option. So 100% full self-driving stays with the car. The only time sometimes it gets removed is if it's traded into Tesla and they want to balance it out and have a vehicle an inventory at a little bit lower price point or something that doesn't have that on there. Just as an aside, while it comes top of mind, supercharging does not very often transfer anymore. Only the original people that got free supercharging, I think back in 16 or 17, can still transfer supercharging with their vehicle, but no one else can do that. Any questions, you can always email me at info@teslaownersclub.ca or jdixon@ownersclub.ca. Also, as you're probably aware, the Model S Plaid is being launched. I confirmed with them here in Canada. They expect the Canadian cars to start arriving next month, and hopefully we'll stay tuned on that. We're going to try to get an advance look at the vehicle if we can. Of course, there'll probably be lots of information on it tonight, and that's my next point here is the Plaid reveal event is tonight as a live stream at 7 p.m. Pacific, approximately 10 p.m. in Eastern. And, let's be fair, there's a good chance it's not going to start on time. So, you can go on to Tesla live stream. You just go to their website and there's a live stream link there. And I think we sent out an email to you all tonight with a bingo card, which I'll show you here in a minute. And that has the live stream in there. You can watch it. And it's also apparently on the Tesla have a YouTube channel, which I didn't realize, and it'll be on that. So there's a lot of people tweeting and showing information in advance of what's going on. They've got some cars undercover. People feel that there's going to be some reveals or some interesting information that we don't know. They did away with the Plaid Plus. People are speculating maybe the Plaid's going to have the higher range of the Plaid Plus. Who knows? There's going to be all kinds of interesting information that will be revealed tonight, hopefully. And also, hopefully, we find out how the automatic shifting works and the yoke and things like that. If you saw some of the videos or the still pictures of the test track, it's all been renovated and repaved and red lines put on it. And I think they're going to allow people to certainly go for a ride in it on the test track. So that'll be interesting. But here's a sample of the business card. This comes courtesy of our friends at Tesla Owners UK. They did this bingo card and we sent you 3. You can either print it off or just play along or something. But basically, how many times Elon says something. So if he says Plaid or less than 2 seconds, or he dances or something like that, you can play bingo and just to have some fun. So we thought we'd do that just to put a bit of levity into what's going to happen tonight. So without further ado, we're going to have the rest of the evening's going to be devoted to our guest speakers. So we're fortunate enough to have Thomas and James on from the YouTube channel Throttle House, and they review many vehicles, and I'm a subscriber. I find them really interesting. It's not just your typical review. It's always a 0 to 60 times, something like that. It's really great, some good insights, lots of fun. They're funny guys. They've really grown the YouTube channel, and hopefully we'll chat about some of this tonight. But I think I checked, and they've grown from, I think it was like 100,000 viewers a few years ago to now 1.44 million, I should say, subscribers as of the last time I checked, which is phenomenal, especially for a couple of guys from Canada. Although James, we let him in. I don't know when we're going to kick him back out again, but anyhow, a couple of guys that live in Canada. They have 64,000 followers on YouTube, and they also have a additional YouTube channel called Extra Throttle House, which is starting to grow, and that has about 78,000 subscribers. So without any further ado, hope you guys don't mind. We took one of their videos, edited it down to make it a little bit shorter, just to do as an intro. So Mike, if you could go ahead, I'm going to stop screen sharing.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, Thomas, what's up, man? Tesla Model 3 Performance. Just picked it up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it looks good.
Although this one does have some alignment issues, though. Here, check that one out, eh?
No, James. What do you, this isn't a secure line. They could be listening.
Who's they?
Okay. Jason, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Listen, I need a co-host to help me review a car, but it's important that you're nice to it, okay? It's a Tesla Model 3.
Oh, panel gaps. How are you liking those panel gaps?
No, don't. Yeah. Okay. You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James.
And this is the Model 3.
Performance.
And it may not look that different, but the performance part means that this particular Model 3 gets a 0 to 100 kilometer time of 3.5 seconds.
Tesla Model 3 Performance. Engage. Ah, it's a roller coaster. It is a roller coaster.
All right. I've actually saved my first full launch for on camera, so you're welcome. Ready? Oh my God. That's ridiculous.
What? The confidence you have pulling out and putting your foot down and getting into gaps is incredible. You see a gap, it's yours. There is a novelty, and I've said this every time I jump in a Tesla because it's still true. There is a novelty to electric acceleration. Thing is so quick.
It's so quick.
Fastest car I've driven this year.
Yes.
To 60.
Yes, it is, easily. Yeah. It's definitely the fastest car to 30.
Right. How does it look?
It looks great from this angle. And any other angle, I don't like the look of it at all.
I think it looks okay. When you see them next to each other, they look really similar.
It's like an alien beetle from the back end.
Is that a bad thing? An alien beetle?
An alien beetle, no. Okay, let's do this screen really quickly. It's actually very fast and very intuitive.
And broken.
It's currently glitching out very hard. Once you get used to this screen, it's fine to use. The only downside is, do we agree that it should have a heads-up display?
I wish I had a heads-up display.
Yeah,
and I wish it had a more exciting steering wheel. It doesn't have any door handles, which is interesting.
No,
if you've ever been in a Tesla Model 3, it's a button.
It has a button?
A button. And the rear seats are really comfortable, and the floor is flat.
Our conclusion is the same as it is every time we hop in a Model 3, performance version or otherwise. You gotta go try one. It's like listening to Dark Side of the Moon for the first time. For better or worse, life seems a little bit different after.
Awesome.
That 0 to 100 times changed since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got some updates, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming that was a fairly early Model 3 performance, because I think you did have a few issues with that car, right?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, that video.
Yeah, it feels weird watching that, honestly. I haven't looked at Throttle House from that long ago in quite a while. It's our production value has gone up a little bit since then.
We had lots to pick from, but I thought there was some good humor at the front there, and I wanted to show that, so that's great. Well, listen, guys, welcome. Thomas, James told me that you guys had a long day today, so I really appreciate you coming in after a long day of filming and getting yourself sunburned, it looks like, and all the fun.
Yeah, you see that? Look at that right there.
Hopefully you had some coffee or something to eat to settle in, but again, guys, really appreciate it. I don't know if you remember, but you did come out briefly to our Earth Day event at Dave and Buster's there. I think it was April of 18, I think. something like that.
Yeah, I think we crashed the party, didn't we, James? What did we crashed it in a, what were we driving?
Yeah, we were in a Kona Electric.
Kona Electric.
Yeah, we were on the wrong side of town.
We crossed the tracks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, great, guys. I've got a bunch of questions, and we did send them to you, so you didn't see any surprises, and I don't think there will be anyhow. But I'm just going to start off, and we'll just go back and forth and go through some questions that the members have had, and get them to understand a little bit more about your background. So first of all, I would ask you, just tell us, what did you guys do before you started the YouTube channel?
I was a teacher. Actually, I was a teacher while I was doing the YouTube channel. I'm not anymore. But yeah, I taught grade 8 art.
Wow.
Who knew, right? Yeah, here we are now, making videos on YouTube.
You started yourself originally on your own. Was that sort of just a side hobby with some of the cars that you're modding and racing and things like that?
Pretty much that. Yeah, it was definitely just a hobby. And then James found me, told me I was doing everything wrong, and was like, I can help you. And in repayment for that, I forced him to be on camera. Here we are now today. Reviewing cars. What's
your version of how you got discovered there?
I was in I kind of always did entrepreneurships, and that was what brought me to Canada. Actually, I brought a business over with my business partner at the time from England, who was Canadian.
He still is Canadian, but
he is still Canadian and still alive. But no longer my business partner. That's the only change there.
Right.
Yeah, and then that kind of finished in a nice way, and I wanted, the next thing I wanted to do was a passion project of some kind, and I loved cars, and as Thomas said, I noticed him online, and I thought he was doing some things right, but I thought I could fill in the gaps, and I if he remembers, I pledged myself to him for free.
He brings this up every time. He brings it
6 months. Yes, I offered him for free.
He did. I can't.
I didn't want to be on camera. And,
he didn't.
Mom said I had a face for radio, but Thomas decided that was what we needed to do. So, I mean, we did okay from the start. I mean, we had a few episodes we chucked in the bin just because they were so terrible.
Took us a while to find our groove, but we got it sorted, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I've been following you for quite a while, and please don't take this the wrong way, but I would say your production values have absolutely improved, year after year, month after month. So the question I would have is, tell us who else is involved in the production with you behind the scenes.
Yeah, we've got a small but very talented team at this point. Well, for the first couple, like when that Tesla video was filmed, there was no one else except me and James. I did all the shooting and editing. James did all the organization and stuff. And now we have a man named Greg who does all the organization with James. And I have a small kind of production side crew, a gentleman named Karsten who does the filming and editing with me, and a gentleman named Harrison who does the audio. Yeah.
Do they work with you full time now?
Yep, full time.
Cool, excellent. Yeah. Well, it shows you. We've always, the people that face the camera get all the accolades, and you also want to make sure that we understand who's there to help with all the
of course,
the production, everything behind the scenes. So that's great. Good to hear that. I know this is going to be a little bit tough to answer precisely, but another question was, how long does it take you to physically produce a show? Like, from the time you have the concept to put it on YouTube, how long does that normally take you?
James, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll answer another question that was on the list in the same breath. So too long. And the reason that Extra Throttle House spun out was because we realized we'd backed ourselves into a corner where every episode needed to literally be an episode, have a sketch followed by a voiceover, slow-mo intros and all this, narrative arc and all this sort of stuff. So Extra Throttle House spun out because we wanted it to be just us jump in the car, talk about a car, and not do these high production. And we were basically throwing a bunch of cars away because we've moved into a model where the main channel only gets 4 videos a month, and that's because it takes our team of 5 1 full week per video from the beginning, from sourcing the car to filming the car. And we write kind of a structure for our videos now, so it's not scripted apart from like the voiceover stuff. But yeah, from the moment we decide we want to do a car to the moment that video is released, it is 7 days work from 5 people. So, and then the Extra Throttle House stuff is literally extra. When we get an extra minute, We'll do maybe a trim of a vehicle that we wouldn't otherwise have given its own video because it's hard to create a news story. If we work with the manufacturer fleets here, and if they had it their way, we would be making a video on every single trim they've ever made every time they release it. Like, we get so many emails saying, you drove the HSC, but now we've got the XLE, and that's really a whole reinvention of Napa leather seats. And so we won't necessarily make a video of that, but sometimes if it's interesting enough, like recently we drove a rear wheel drive Taycan, and because we'd kind of already done a story on the Turbo S Taycan, we couldn't figure out a way to make the rear wheel drive carry a week, so that got an extra Throttle House video. So it's not necessarily relegated to that, but yeah. So each main video takes us about a week, and an extra Throttle House video we can film in a couple of hours and edit in a couple of hours. So.
Okay, great. I mean, on that same vein, so you just said you get most of your cars through the press departments of the manufacturers. Has that got easier over time? In the early years, I guess, when you weren't known, it might have been pretty hard to get these vehicles.
I can take this one, I guess. So we actually really do have a healthy mix of owners, dealer vehicles, and manufacturer vehicles. Our preference, and this is obviously not a thing for Tesla, but our preference for the rest of the brands is to always try and go manufacturer first. Normally we get to live with the car for longer. We get to, film it, without just unhindered, just in our own space, in our own time. If we run late in the day, we're not inconveniencing a dealership or a salesman or an owner. But I forgot what the original question was there.
I can see by the burn on your face how tired you
It's been a day. I'm here though. I'm mentally here. I just forgot what the question was.
Well, no, basically that was it. How long does it take you? Sorry.
Oh, yes. I remember it now. So yes, it's got a lot easier. We find ourselves being massively prioritized by manufacturers now. Throttle House, I think, is the biggest outlet in Canada now, including all the traditional media. So we are the single route to getting the most eyes on a video or on a car that any manufacturer or press person has. So they use that as a tool. We're a bit of a riskier one because when someone chucks us the keys, we're not going to hold back. And sometimes that's been to our detriment. But yes, because I'm not saying all the outlets are sycophants, but there's a read between the lines nature in car journalism where the audience is expected to kind of understand what that comment is so that the manufacturer doesn't get too upset. Whereas we're a bit blunt. We find ourselves a bit more blunt on Extra Throttle House. I don't know why. The casual nature of it. We've actually had to reshoot some things because we were like, we just tore that car apart. It didn't even deserve it. Maybe the shawarma we had for lunch was a bit off, so we're just moody. But yeah, so
1.44 million subscribers, guys. People like how candid you are. They like, I know you said you scripted a little bit, but they like how it's off the cuff and you seem to feed well off each other and you seem like good guys, and that comes across on the camera. And
absolutely, yeah. And I know, it's definitely a don't bite the hand that feeds you for the manufacturers for a lot of people, but for us, the audience is our boss. Those 1.44 million people are our boss, and the PR reps, most of them are very cool and are very chill and normal, and they know we're objective. And if we have issues with things, basically we haven't lost favor with any of them yet. We've had moments and windows of quiet and silence from certain people, but otherwise we live to tell the tale still.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You may not be able to answer this question. Where do you film the Throttle House drag tests, or where is that track that you're not supposed to be on?
It is
allowed to be on there.
Right. Yes, it is. It is an old airfield at an undisclosed location. Those that get invites or offer us cars to film end up finding out where it is. But it is unfortunately not open to the public. As much as we'd like it to be, it'd be cool to be able to do lapping days there and stuff. Right. It is for filming and military only. Yeah.
You're able to get an in there, and they must be happy with how it's going because you keep on being invited back, right?
Yeah. It's nice to have a place to be able to actually push the cars and test them. There's only so much you can do on the road, obviously, right? But on the track, we can actually drive by the camera at 150 kilometers an hour, right? So, which is
still issues with a lot of gravel on that track.
Actually, they've been sweeping it every year, and it's getting better and better now that we're using it. But nowadays we use a product called Track Wrap made by XPEL for any of the cars that come out, and we just basically wrap the whole front of the car in that. It's like PPF basically, and it's basically indestructible. So we haven't had any issues in a long time.
Yeah, good example of that is we did the race with the Tesla Model S versus 3 versus X versus Y. And some of the guys who came out there might be on this call. I know Trev's here, so thanks.
Yeah, I think I saw that. And
yeah,
something small there, and then he showed it. Somebody, maybe it was him, did a pretty crap job just throwing it on there.
But those cars were quite close together, and using the stuff that Thomas said, they all came away just absolutely perfect. I think.
Perfect.
We hope. Yeah.
I'm just going to jump on to Pigeonhole here because a few people have submitted some stuff. Somebody's asking, I don't even know what this is. When is the crossover episode with Jacob and Yuri happening?
Oh, you never know. At some point in the future, you never know.
Okay. Are you opening to collaborating with smaller YouTube channels?
Yeah, we're open to tons of stuff. The issue is almost always time, basically, and finding a way to work it into a narrative that's, interesting and relevant for the viewer and for whatever other channel it might be, right? But yeah, like we have tons of people that we've been waiting to collab with for like, I don't know, when did COVID start? That long.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of channels and stuff, and we in that video you showed, Jason Camisa was in it, who, by the way, just today dropped a pretty wicked video on an M3. I was just watching it before this on Haggerty YouTube channel. But yeah, we're waiting to collab with him again, and Randy Popst and the whole thing down in California. But that will hopefully happen by the end of the summer. By the looks of it, maybe.
Excellent. There's a question that actually I threw in there. Have you seen any pattern? And I can sort of see it myself, but I'm just wondering your opinion on why some episodes get such a huge number of viewers. For example, one of them, and maybe you can correct me if it's higher, but I saw one with 6.7 million views. Now, of course, over time they build up, but have you seen any pattern for the ones that have more views than others as a rule?
I think some of that's my mum refreshing just to support us.
Well, you know what I noticed? I noticed it's when you have more than one car. Like if it's a comparison of 2 cars or drag of 5 cars, or I think the one with the 6.7 million views was it a Bentley or a Rolls or something? When you
yeah, probably the Rolls Royce Phantoms.
Sorry?
Yeah, that was the Rolls Royce Phantom.
Yeah. And that that's phenomenal number of views. You guys could probably retire on those royalties we're getting from that YouTube.
You'd think, but it's actually a garbage audience, so you don't make it. Not so much a pattern as it's just a case of relevance. If the vehicle's relevant, if it's been covered, if it has been covered and it's relevant, we'll try and find a spin on it, which is why you'll notice some of the comparisons kind of have a few more views because we might have been the first to put 2 cars together. If they maybe rivals, maybe sometimes we do really silly things like we did a Genesis G70 with a Mustang, and we did a Bentley Bentayga with a Genesis GV. Apparently, a Genesis is the thing we use to mix everything up. But those kind of ones where it mixes things up also can do well. But yeah, no pattern so far. It's just, is it relevant? And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, well, and also YouTube is fickle. But if you make a good video, people will watch it longer. So that's why we put so much effort into production, right?
Well, and also, if you watch one type of video, the YouTube algorithm knows what you like and it serves it up. So if somebody's watched stuff on Tesla and you've got something on Tesla, it serves it up in their feed, right? So when I go down the rabbit hole on YouTube many times, and hours later I'm looking at one in the morning. It's
yeah.
Exactly. Let's jump into some discussion on EVs a little bit. What was the first EV you tested? Was it a Model 3?
No, it was Kona Electric.
The Kona? Okay.
After
you tested the first EV, did your opinion change about them?
I didn't really have an opinion.
No, I reserved the opinion, I think, until I drove one. I kind of expected it to be a certain way, and it absolutely was that way, and I was happy about that. I mean, I wasn't disappointed in any way.
Well, funnily enough, our first test of our first EV was shared with our first test of a hydrogen vehicle.
Right.
So it was kind of like future. Yeah, we tried the Nexo in the same launch weekend or whatever it was. So, but yeah, we were obviously aware because we have enthusiast friends of this kind of like resentment and hatred for this imminent EV world. But I didn't see it that way. I didn't really care, and we thought the Kona Electric was great, if it's just a little bit expensive. 53 grand was quite a lot to part with, considering we'd actually 2 weeks before driven the normal Kona and just didn't really think much of that. But the EV, I think, in fact, that's kind of what affected the opinion the most. Is we didn't really have an opinion. We drove the normal Kona, thought it was a bit meh, and then we got into the Kona Electric, and it massively elevated the experience. So it made a lot of sense immediately.
Right, right. Well, and the thing we always say to people that are looking at just the price, it comes down to most people is a monthly payment. So the monthly payment might be higher on that electric car, but you don't have the monthly gas bill. And we have people on this podcast I know who were concerned about jumping up to an EV, and when they did the math, and then after they bought the car a year later, it's not costing them really any more monthly, maybe even less as a monthly cost than that gasoline car, So that's sort of an education thing. But another question, kind of an interesting spin on things. If you were to buy an EV today and you had $80,000 to put towards the EV, what would you buy?
That feels like a loaded question.
I was gonna say we're on a Tesla.
As far as and also, as far as I know, there's one Tesla that costs 80 grand, which is the Model Y long range all-wheel drive.
So what happens if we don't pick that right now? What are you gonna do?
There's gonna be a bag over your head.
A bag over my head is what's gonna happen. No, what I honestly I don't know. I think I read that question very briefly when you sent the email, and I thought about it, and my gut reaction was, I don't know if I would buy any of them right now, not because I don't like them, but because I have a feeling that in the next couple of years, I'm going to have a lot more options. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think I'd like to see what's going to come up. What was the Hyundai Ioniq? Right. That looks kind of neat, depending on where it's priced.
The new one, the Ioniq 5.
Yeah. The BMW, what's it called? The iX?
iX and the i4.
The iX looks like a poo. So I probably am not going to do that one.
It starts at 90 grand.
It starts at 90 grand. It's so much money for that. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the Mustang Mach-E, and I'd like to try the Mach-E GT. And if the Mach-E GT drives similar to the Mach-E but better, then that would be right at the top of my list, I think, personally.
Same set of questions. Somebody's asking what your favorite EV is and why. Maybe that would have to be worded as the ones you've driven. Which is your favorite, maybe?
The problem is that Tesla's at a disadvantage here because we've kind of it held the stage on its own for a while, so we're kind of like done it. So now, and we've been waiting to kind of be impressed by a new one. And as Thomas said, the Mach-E was great. The ID4 was disappointing. So it's just one of those things where like the Tesla's strong, and you just got the charging network that the other ones don't, which still makes a lot of sense from an ownership perspective. I think the Mach-E struck a chord with us for sure.
Well, I spent a day with the Taycan, which I really liked, but the price point, people thought Teslas were expensive. It's ridiculous. The amount of extra money. I think I drove the Turbo S and it was like close to 200 grand.
Oh, it's more. I think the one we had was 240.
Yeah. It's a really, really expensive vehicle. It is like incredible in terms of performance and its capabilities. But for that amount of money, I don't think it would be on my list personally.
Okay. Somebody's asking if you're interested or it's in the works to look at the all-electric Mini as a vehicle you might look at and test down the road.
I'm certainly interested in driving it. But then again, I'm interested in driving everything, so it doesn't really tell you much. But I don't know much about it at this point, so I can't really speak to it. But I really like the Mini. James has only had one experience with the most recent Mini. Actually,
I've had two. You had the base Mini one once in here, and then we drove the Mini Cooper S in England.
Yeah, and you weren't enthralled by it, right?
No, and I don't think the power plant was an exciting thing for me. So an EV Mini for sure, because I do love the style of it. I kind of like what it's all about. I kind of like the jukebox interior, but I think an EV could actually serve that car really well. I know that the range is not perfect, and it is at the end of the day, it's a range game. Especially if someone's being stolen from ICE to EV, they need to be persuaded on the range. And we mentioned that iX. I think you guys know more than me, but I think the iX has like 600 kilometers of range, which is really going to be a selling point. And I don't know what the Mini has, but it's less. And the car that we don't get here that is terrible on range that I absolutely love the idea and look of is the Honda E city car.
Mhm.
And I think the Ioniq 5 is the closest thing in terms of style to that. So I'm excited for the Ioniq 5, but it will be inevitably expensive, and we don't have the right incentives here, really. Like our friends in California are getting cars for free, basically.
Yeah. The Ioniq 5's like imminent. You should be able to test that pretty soon, I would think.
Yeah, I think in the fall it's going to be here to drive.
Okay, great. So now people are asking, what do you guys drive personally? And, if you have more than one car, what's your favorite daily driver?
All right, everyone grab a bagel. Thomas, go on then.
Okay, here we go. No, I have a little mini collection of cars, and none of them work properly. Right now, in my garage, I've got a 1972 Alfa Romeo Spider, which would be like my favorite little thing that I own. It's actually, hilariously, my classic Italian car is the only car that I have that's actually fully working properly. I also have a 2001 BMW M3, and I have a 2001 BMW race car, and I have a 1991 Mercedes-Benz 190E, and we have a 4Runner as a Throttle House as a 4Runner, and we're looking to buy a truck of some kind for towing the race car. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm shorter than that. I have
you're like, I'm like 6 feet pretty much, and you're like just under.
Yeah, mate, you're 5'9" on a good day. So I have a Mazda Miata, and I have an Audi S4, and I really debated when I bought the S4 because I really do want an EV as that kind of do everything car. And for the reasons Thomas mentioned before, I don't quite feel ready. So my expectation is that I'll have the S4 for a limited amount of time, and the moment a good EV comes along that I'm into, I will switch. In fact, I went and tested a Model Y, which is stupid because we were the first review of it. I'd already tested it, but I went as James the consumer. Yeah. Not a very powerful, not a very powerful wizard, and terrible superhero name. And anyway, I just couldn't do it. It felt a little bit inert to me, and so I wasn't ready yet. But I am ready, and I do try and tell people that EV is the way, especially when it comes to the daily car that needs to do everything. It's unbeatable.
Well, and I think you would agree that in the next year or two, we've already, already this last year or so, there's been a flood of EVs come on the market, but it's even going to be just, go 5 and 10-fold in the next couple of years. So it's pretty exciting in the EV world, that's for sure. This is kind of, I don't know if you can comment on this. This is a technical question. Can you comment on mild overinflation of tires, 10 to 20%? Would it improve handling?
Generally, I did read that question. Generally, you want to run a tire at what it's recommended to run at on the door of the car. Basically, let's just say you're on the track when you're driving a car, you want to set cold pressures to different than hot pressures, because as heat gets into the tire from the brakes, obviously the pressure is going to increase in the tire. And basically, you want to set that tire up to function as the tire is meant to function based on the weight of the car. That said, you can adjust the pressures here and there to induce less or more grip in the front or the back of a car. So if the car is not gripping enough in the front, maybe you could try a few PSI lower and adjust the bounce of the car that way. But in terms of just like blindly upping the pressures, no. It's definitely a thing that I would consider taking at steps and doing a lot of research and just run what you can on the door of the car or the glove box, whatever it is. I was very curious about that question and why, the reasoning behind that question. If someone happens to chime in, I'm curious. If it feels like there's a follow-up question to the question, is what I was.
You can message Thomas on Instagram.
Feel free.
And another tire question, and again, I don't know if you can answer this. Is there any non-winter tires that have a longer wear, which will give good road grip, wet or dry surface? Any opinion about that?
I don't like to make any blanket statements because we haven't tested all the tires on the market back to back, right? There are some outlets that have done those types of tests, and they'd probably be better to refer to. We've tested some what are they? BF Goodrich? No, James. Who does the tires for the ZL1? What brand is that?
That's
Is it Goodyear?
Goodyear.
Goodyear. So yeah, we've tested some Goodyears. We had some good luck with them. We've worked with Michelin. We've had some really good luck with their tires. Their tires wear very well. I've got the AS3, I believe, on my M3, and I've got really good wet grip with those, and I haven't had any issues with noise or tire wear. In terms of brand, the only thing I would say is just maybe try and avoid Pirelli.
Yeah.
We've had some Pirelli experiences recently.
Yeah, so have some F1 drivers.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to deviate a little bit and go to Pigeonhole. Somebody's saying, how about getting Dead Mouse in his Senna against the Roadster when it's available?
Oh, don't get me started on Dead Mouse, because I wanted to get Dead Mouse. We had this ridiculous intro idea that I still want to use for Dead Mouse, but
don't give it away because it's really funny.
Okay, but yeah, if anyone has an in on Dead Mouse, I 100% would love to feature any of his
I need to help you in all seriousness, because I know his sister, who's frankly the marketing manager for Tesla.
Oh, really?
He, not that it really matters, but his house is literally halfway between my office where I am right now and where I live. And I've been there because we were asked to take part in a video shoot that he did or something, an introduction, and he wanted some Teslas to go pick up radio and industry people downtown. So, there's a bit of an in there. I might be able to help you. I can't guarantee it, but.
All right. Well, we're up for it. We're to that question, we're definitely up for it.
We're always game.
Because he's got quite the car collection himself.
Yes,
know?
He does.
People are asking, obviously we would guess that when the time comes, the Cybertruck will be in your video plans when they're available.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the Model S Plaid?
We're going to film that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So
even with this unacceptable price hike today,
I know.
every bone in my body wants to boycott that car now, but we'll film it.
Let's see. I mean, there's rumors flying around, and these are just rumors that they got rid of the Plaid Plus. That was going to have the 4680 cells for sure. We don't know about if the Plaid's going to have those cells. Probably. And some people, and it had the highest range, like 500 and some odd miles. So some people are wondering if they got rid of the Plaid Plus and put some of those things into the Plaid, and that may be some of the things that are going to be introduced tonight. But who knows? You can never tell with a Tesla presentation like that. Let me see what else have we got here. Sort of covered. Any thoughts on the BMW iX Grill?
Yeah, covered that one.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
As travel opens up, do you have any plans to taking your filming outside of the country to get access to more vehicles?
Yeah, we're ready to get on a plane.
Okay.
I don't care if it does circles above YYZ. I'm just
we're ready to go somewhere. Yeah.
Now, this is something that I think everybody would agree on. You do have some pretty good humor and funny bits in your videos. So somebody's asking, do you guys write those scripts yourself? Is it off the cuff? And someone said, have you ever considered making videos of pure satire from start to end?
We have actually considered that. Actually, we talked about. We just couldn't find a way to get it out there or whatever. But James and I write all the humorous bits. The sketches at the beginning are not what I would call off the cuff. The ideation stage for the sketches is going to be off the cuff, and we just start.
Everything after that in the video is off the cuff. But just that very first bit is obviously planned.
Like we have to plan those sketches ahead of time. They're going to need specific shots and stuff, but there is no one kind of method for writing those sketches at the beginning of the videos. It's basically one of us comes up with an idea, and the other guy we just keep shooting stuff at each other until we kind of form it into something usable, basically, and then scrap it because it was crap, and then start all over again. That's usually how it works.
Sometimes the humor is not even intentional. Like, first of all, that stupid T-shirt Thomas is wearing right now is an accidental outtake. And then he wore that in a video. But also today in the Cobra, Thomas was very much enjoying the fact that I couldn't get my voice loud enough to speak above the engine sound. And so my voice kept cracking and breaking. So there's probably about 20 minutes of outtakes of me going,
the Shelby, and this is the Shelby coat. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. He couldn't get any volume over the
So that's a future embarrassment waiting to happen.
There's a place for a blooper reel down the road.
Well, we chuck it at the end of episodes, but yeah, blooper reel at some point.
Yeah, we'll probably do that. Yeah.
Cool. Now, I know you did mention earlier that you had, I think, the Model S in a comparison video, but people are asking, why have you not tested the Model S on its own up until now?
We felt late to it, so we're going to do a proper one for the Model S Plaid.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do
The redesign. Yeah.
And this, I think, is kind of a cool idea. Have you ever thought about doing a video about the differences in the different generations of Teslas?
What we would probably do. We have our old versus new series. Like we just released a brand new E63S versus a 2000 and what year is it? 2010. What we'd probably do is we'd probably wait until there's that type of a year gap between the most recent and the original, and then compare the two. We
did want to put a spotlight on the old Roadster, though. We were looking for an old Roadster.
Yes. 2 weeks ago. We were looking for an old one. Yeah.
Still are. We still are.
Yeah, we always are.
Mission failure so far.
Well, again, I might be able to help you there. I know you've already talked to the guys at Shift Electric. I guess that didn't work out, but we do have a couple guys in the club that still have Roadsters, I believe. So
okay. Yeah, I think Shift had sold theirs, or it was sold. So
yeah, I can follow up, but it's possible. I know they're getting scarcer and scarcer. I mean, Tesla for a while they were buying up some of them to strip for parts to use to support servicing old ones, that are still old. And then you've got some of these people in the U.S. like Gruber Motors, people like that. That's all they do pretty well is work on Roadsters and other Teslas. So I think we're going to see more and more of that. Listen, guys, that's about all we've got in the way of official questions and whatnot. Maybe it sounds dumb, but do you have any questions for us at the club, or anything about Tesla, or anything from the other side of the coin?
Do you guys ever do track days? I feel like that would be a fun thing.
We haven't, but there is people quite often. We did survey our members not that long ago, and I believe there's a couple of people mentioned that. So it's probably something that we probably could do down the road, especially as we're in the early days. It was only Model S and Model X. Not so many people are interested in doing that. But then when the Model 3 came out and the performance and people, you've got Mountain Pass Performance and these guys that are modifying and stuff like that. It's probably, as things open up, we could certainly look at, and maybe we could do a collaboration with you on that.
Never know, right? Yeah, no, I figured that'd be cool because I know that the Model 3's got some pretty seriously good chops on the track when it's set up properly, right? So I thought it'd be cool. I think there's like Club Wolfsburg track days, there's Porsche Club track days. It'd be cool to see the Tesla guys getting out there and doing some track days. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else? James, you look like you're going to ask something.
I'm curious. I mean, this is a question for the 100 people, but Tesla up until now has kind of been synonymous with EV. Being a Tesla follower is someone who's believing in the EV revolution. So I'm curious how open Tesla owners are, or the Tesla owners of Ontario are, to the incoming cars. Like, how high is the interest in a Polestar 2 or a Mark E Mustang? Like, when are Tesla owners who swear by the current charging network open to, or even yearning for a different flavor of EV for when the charging situation improves?
You're right. If anybody wants to pipe in on Pigeonhole before we close off, please do that. I'll try to answer. I would say it's certainly, back in the day, there wasn't much that would even compare to a Tesla. So most people wouldn't be open. You'd have to look at a Nissan Leaf or something like that. Now, frankly, one of the guys in our club just traded in or sold his Model S and bought an Audi. We're not going to name names, but
but he's dead to us.
Yeah, but I don't hold it against him. Mike, are you not using Pigeonhole? Mike, use Pigeonhole and see if you can put a question in there. We sent a link to it. Just go to pigeonhole.at and you can put a question in there. Somebody's raised their hand, and maybe we can answer that in a minute if necessary. And some people know this. I'm not going to get into it in detail, but I have another EV in order, and I'm not going to reveal too much in the public domain here. But I do have a different EV in order, and we'll probably have to make some decisions down the road when it comes. So and I'm an owner of 8 years. So I think over time, you become more open to things, and you're looking for something different. And I will say, I don't think anybody can approach the tech in a Tesla and the innovations and some of the things that they do as a company and Elon. But there's things like only 5 colors and very, very limited options and things like that. And a lot of vehicles like the Cybertruck or the Roadster are taking forever to come to market. So I am aware of some people that are looking at others, and I think there's a faction of club members who have a second EV or a hybrid in their household to supplement the Tesla. And I think you're going to see that over time. But we're open. I know as a club, we're very open to other EVs. When we did our drive-in event last year, I think for the first time, I'm not sure if we did it the first time around, but we opened it up to other EVs. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had we had a couple of Leafs there. We had some Porsche Taycans, and we may have had Ioniq or something like that. And I think there's probably for example, like with this Sandy Munro thing that's coming up from the EV Society, that there's probably some area for crossover. In EV Society, there's people that are in both clubs. They're part of EV Society and they're part of the Tesla Owners Club. So I don't know if that answers your question, James, and I don't know if it's fair for me to answer for everybody. I'm just going to look and see if anybody did chime in here on Pigeonhole, but it looks like they haven't. But let's put it this way. I would love my wife to drive an EV as a second vehicle in the family. And she's one of these ones that is totally into the environmental advantages and whatnot, but she's afraid of the screens. And I can't talk her into the fact that you can talk to the car and tell it what you want to do, So we've got a few minutes here. I know we're not supposed to do this, but how do we do the handle the raised hand thing? Mike, do you know how to do that? Mike, can you chime in?
Not specifically, John.
I've seen a few people raise hands, and folks, we did this on purpose. The Pigeonhole thing is very easy. I doubt many of you are looking at this on your phone. You can go to Pigeonhole and you can put questions in there. I wish that we may have actually got it. Let me just see here. Raise hand.
Hey, John, I can activate people if they want to raise their hand.
Elia's asked got a question for us here. You can unmute Elia.
Well, I just would like to answer how we are open to other cars. I was looking for competition the same year I bought Tesla Model X, and even went to Frankfurt Auto Show in September 2019, drove there and watched the Volkswagen models and Porsche Taycan, and still looking for competition, and cannot find any car really to replace my Model X for now. I'm waiting for Volkswagen ID Buzz, but I still have a reservation for Cybertruck. So let's see who wins, Volkswagen or Tesla.
Yeah. If you get a Buzz, let us know, because we want to get one too, actually.
They're really cool.
Who else? There's a few other people here. Andrea Carboni.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I'm on my wife's account, and I'm on my phone, so doing Pigeonhole is a pain. But anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to comment. We're actually in the market for a second EV, and we're even selling our house, and we'll have some cash and living with family. So we'll be able to afford another Tesla, but we're just we're going to give a Leaf a chance, maybe an older Leaf, just to save some money. But we're going to take whatever difference and invest it in Tesla stock, and then maybe we'll be able to buy a Tesla. But in terms of like how open as a Tesla owner, it's our only vehicle right now. So considering it as a second vehicle, I think we're even more open to other competitors. So it's
cool. Okay, appreciate the input.
Yeah, thanks very much.
May have put his hand down, but Mike Perry, you had a question earlier. No? Okay. Well, I think that's about it. There's one other sort of club question here. Somebody's asking about the Tesla service center in Barrie, and I can't answer that question. There was supposed to be a new service center opening up in both London and Barrie, and I don't think they're imminent, and maybe it's a budgetary thing, but I don't know the answer to that. if somebody reminds me and sends me an email or text, I can try to follow up with Tesla. They normally won't really answer anything specific until the place is ready to open. Same with superchargers, but that's really all I can comment. But I think that's about it, unless I'm missing anything else on Pigeonhole here. James and Thomas, again, I want to thank you very much. We're about an hour in here. Really appreciate again you coming out after a long day of filming. Maybe there's an opportunity to do this again, especially as we get the opportunity to go, live meetings. Maybe we can collaborate or have you come out to one of our sessions, or as Thomas said, maybe even do a track day or something like that. But again, guys, I want to thank you very much. It's really great to have a sort of different perspective on things other than the normal type of program that we do. And that's about all we got. I don't think I have anything else left on my slides. I should just double check that. That's probably it, other than thanks for joining us. So guys, again, thanks very much. Thanks for being so responsive, James and Thomas. Good to chat with you both. And have a good evening, guys. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Good night.
Hey guys. Bye everybody.
See ya.